Welcome to Siding with Love, a podcast of the Gloucester Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Carol Bousquet, and I'm one of the co-hosts, along with Reverend Janet Parsons. We are very pleased to be back in the 1623 studios to present another episode of our podcast, Siding with Love, our Gloucester Unitarian Universalist Church podcast. Welcome. Our goal is to create a space for thoughtful conversation and connection. We hope you'll share it with others if moved to do so. Hello, Reverend Janet.
Hello, Carol. It is great to be back. I noticed that as we're talking here that we're both smiling very broadly to be back in the studio.
It has been a while, too long, and you're right. It feels good to be back in the saddle. So, April, we're in the month of April, the fourth month of the year. It's a refreshing, hopeful gateway to spring in the Northern Hemisphere and autumn in the Southern Hemisphere. I mention this because we know we have listeners in the Southern Hemisphere. A shout out to them. Earth Day, Arbor Day, Passover, Easter. Heck, let's tack on April is National Poetry Month. And then there was April Fool's Day. April is a month of possibilities.
Indeed, it is. There's so many ways to think about possibilities. One thing I was reading today, in fact, was a piece by Kurt Vonnegut, who started championing the idea of having 6 seasons a year instead of 4. And those would be spring, which was May and June. Summer would be July and August. Fall would be September and October. And then November and December he called locking. Kind of when the world starts to shut down and to lock up. Then comes winter, January and February. And then comes March and April, which he named unlocking.
What a cool concept.
It's a great way to think about this because those of us here clinging to the end of the earth up here on Cape Ann, March and April are incredibly frustrating because it's not exactly winter, but it certainly is not spring. I was noting this morning that our local weather person commented that he's hoping that today might be the last day that stays in the 30s.
Ouch.
I know, really. So we have to kind of reorient how we think about March and April, or we are just so frustrated and disappointed all the time because it's cold, it's rainy. In fact, yesterday it snowed. We need a different way to think about these months.
And this winter has been particularly cold and particularly hard.
It has been a hard
many
winter.
Ways.
I have seen it, felt it with myself, the sense of really pulling myself in and just being at home a lot more and not engaging as much and feeling, the sense of hibernating.
Yes.
And so then March comes along and at least it does start to get a little warmer and brighter. And we can start to think about how do we emerge from this? And this is a particularly good spring to start thinking about this, I think, because the winter was so hard.
Possibilities.
The possibilities. And so it's a great time for us to take stock and see, how have we been the last couple of months, the last few months, and what might be emerging for us as we do emerge out of our caves.
Yes.
We've been hibernating. And what are we thinking about? What feels new? What feels like that you've been missing? What do you feel you wish you could be doing? And it's a great time to really spend some time thinking about that, to picture yourself kind of as a bear emerging from the cave and what you wish your life might be like as you step forward into the sunshine again.
That's right. Possibilities bring opportunities.
They do. They certainly do. And now is a perfect time to be thinking about that before we get caught up in all the beauty and the warmth of May and June. Life gets easier and we start to relax and enjoy it and then move into summer, of course. But right now is kind of a great time for that stock taking, to just really be asking yourself, what have I been missing? Are there ways that I could reorient my life a little bit to do some new things or do things in a new way? Are there people I need that I haven't been reaching out to? There's really infinite ways that you could think about this, but to think about what's been missing and how can I find a way to fill that.
It's an existential consideration. I know that it's, I had, as some of my closest friends know, I had a serious health issue toward the end of the year, so that this new year has, it was a cancer diagnosis, and I don't mind sharing with our listeners that I am extremely lucky that this lung cancer was caught soon enough that my prayers were answered. I had the best possible outcome. When you're plunged into this kind of circumstance, it's life-changing, and it takes you in interesting directions, and it's very thoughtful. I found myself, and still I am changed. I am completely transformed and transforming. And I have to say, it's a very exciting, again, opportunity to reevaluate everything you're doing, why, how, who, where, all of that. And it's in so many ways a gift that I have been given. And it has cleared the way for me to redesign my life and redesign how I'm perceiving everything and how I want to spend my time and energy and what it is I want to do next.
That is an amazing way to be able to look at this, because of course no one asks for a diagnosis like that. And of course, people might try to suggest to you that it could be seen as an opportunity, but that's something that has to come from within yourself. No one should ever propose that to you who's been faced with a difficult time like this. But if it's possible to look at it that way, it is a gift. And most of us at some point or another feel that our life isn't quite the way we want it. And it's hard sometimes to have the space emerge for us to even think about it, let alone do anything about it. So to hear you talk about this as a gift and to be able to think about this in a positive way it's a beautiful thing for you to share with everybody else.
Thank you. I don't mind at all. I am one of the lucky ones, and as I said, I am grateful. And it coincides with this month of April and our discussion around possibilities. What are the possibilities?
Yeah.
So I'd like to insert that our YouTube channel is reorganized. So when you're listening to this, you'll see you now have the opportunity to comment, to like, and to share very easily. And we invite you, listeners, to do that, to indeed, please comment. It's a place where we can have a conversation and continue this conversation. As well, we would love to hear from you on what suggestions you might like to see us address going into the future. So let's segue to, what are you reading this month, Janet?
I have just finished reading a wonderful book about Mary Magdalene that really was kind of transformational for me. This kind of shadowy figure in the Bible who turns out to have been possibly a spiritual companion of Jesus and a healer and spiritual genius in her own right. That has been a wonderful topic to be thinking about, and in tying in with our theme a little bit, to be able to look at a historic figure with new eyes and to see emerging possibilities for somebody who lived thousands of years ago.
Your sermon Sunday featured a discussion about Mary Magdalene, and I have to say, we were all just so moved by your considerations and your sharing in that sermon. I recommend anybody to find that on our website and enjoy that. Mary Magdalene, as you mentioned, in history after Easter, she disappeared and was eliminated from the discussion. It's a shame because she played such an important role in history. So I'm reading, going along with my existential journey here, The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. He's a former software developer who many years ago gave that up and turned to spirituality, meditation, and consciousness, advocating for letting go of the ego and inner blockages to achieve inner peace. Otherwise, as a new vegan, I surround myself with cookbooks, vegan cookbooks all the time, always looking for inspiration about what I'm going to eat next, how I'm going to make it. I'm really enjoying that one.
Again, back to possibilities.
Exactly. It's very exciting. So for cultural events in our church community, I wanted to mention that on Fridays we have Bring Your Own Lunch opportunity. All are invited every Friday from noon until 1 o'clock to come to church with your own lunch, get to know friends, bring a friend. We won't meet in the summer, so be sure to connect soon. If you've been thinking about it at all, now would be the time.
And then the church book group is coming up on May 12th. They are going to be reading River of the Gods by Candace Millard. And this is a fascinating book about explorers trying to locate the source of the Nile River. She's written a number of these types of books about explorations and 19th century adventurers. And so this promises to be a very good read. So again, that's May 12th at 3 p.m. at the church.
My librarian at the Ipswich Library squealed when I asked for the book. She said, "That's one of my favorite authors." So it's like, oh my gosh, I've got to read this now, especially. So otherwise, we have our church member, Deb Hardy, fantastic musician and vocalist. Deb Hardy and Friends benefit concert featuring guests Brian King and Alice Underhill, doing a benefit for the church on May 2nd. It's a Saturday afternoon from 2 to 4:30. Again, all proceeds will benefit the church. Tickets are $15, will be sold at the door.
Deb is a longtime church member and a favorite of everybody. Coming up on Saturday, April 18th at 7:30, the Gloucester Meeting House Foundation is going to present the Essex Piano Trio. They are going to be offering a concert named A Conversation Among Friends. The trio includes Beverly Soule on piano. She's the wife of one of our organists, Andy Soule. And they will be performing pieces that explore the friendships between the late 19th and early 20th century composers, including Ravel, Vaughan Williams, Tchaikovsky, and Arensky. Of course, the meeting house we're referring to is the iconic 1806 meeting house that is the home of the Gloucester Unitarian Universalist Church. It's a treat just to attend a concert there with its great acoustics and beautiful aesthetic. It will be a beautiful evening. So again, Saturday, April 18th at 7:30. Also coming up on May 10th, after church at coffee hour, longtime member Shep Abbott will be giving a presentation and hosting a discussion on his art space that he ran for many years here in Gloucester. This is a retrospective of his work with teens and young adults and helping them to find a home to create art. It promises to be a fun look back at some of the work that they did together over the years.
That sounds fantastic. Our services are broadcast live for anyone wishing to attend from away at 10 a.m. That link is on our website and in our weekly newsletter, which arrives on Fridays. Do sign up to receive our weekly news on our website. It's also posted on our Facebook page, so you can find the links there. That does it this month. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. Please do share with a friend who might also enjoy.
I'd like to close with a poem that fits our discussion about possibilities this month. This poem is called Imaginary Conversation, and it's by the poet Linda Paston. She writes, "You tell me to live each day as if it were my last. This is in the kitchen where before coffee I complain of the day ahead, that obstacle race of minutes and hours, grocery stores and doctors. But why the last? I ask. Why not live each day as if it were the first? All raw astonishment, Eve rubbing her eyes awake that first morning, the sun coming up like an ingenue in the east. You grind the coffee with the small roar of a mind trying to clear itself. I set the table, glance out the window where dew has baptized every living surface. Why not the first day?"
Thank you for joining Reverend Janet Parsons and me, Carol Bousquet, today. We're the co-hosts of the Gloucester Unitarian Universalists podcast, Siding with Love. For more information, please visit our website, gloucesteruu.org. And speaking of love, we'd love to see you in church soon. Until next time, be well.